And we're back. I was trying to remember, there's this, oh gosh, nope, it's a bit from Adult Swim. I completely forgot the moment the camera went hot. By the way, we don't have tally lights. I keep forgetting to mention this. I've got a list of general purpose gags here, and the first page just says, we don't have any tally lights. If you don't know, a tally light is on the front of every professional camera. You've got a light that says whether that camera is active. And it's sort of like on a consumer camcorder. You got that little red light that says it's recording. Well, in a live environment, you're not recording, but you are switching cameras. Only one is going out live at any given moment. So you've always got a light, usually on the front of the viewfinder assembly, that tells you that that camera is the one that's either about to be selected, rarely, but always it'll tell you whether it is selected. That's called a tally light, and I don't have any. The TriCaster supports them, but in the short term I had to set this up, I couldn't find a tally light that worked with it, and I didn't have time to build one. Test it, build it, etc. So yeah, I have no idea which camera is hot. I just have to look at the multicam and hope I can keep up. So anyway, before we move on to my next guest here, I just was going to share, I've been trying to keep up with the facts. As you don't know, it looks like a scene from the Hudsucker proxy, you know, with all the papers blowing around when the window's open, he's delivering the blue letter, etc. Anyway, there's so many faxes. Most of them are coming through with broken images. I'm sorry. Fax 0 is apparently not that hot. Not an endorsement, not associated with them. Definitely not an endorsement, since I'm saying they don't seem to work all that well. So I haven't gotten a whole lot of successful ones. I have a DVD RAM camera. I have 4. But I do have a couple faxes here. I do have a fax from Gmail. Super channel, happy birthday, greetings from Poland. Greetings to Poland. But fax from Gmail, I don't know how that works. You just mean you sent it to a fax service from Gmail? I'm not sure. Yes, yeah, the little red strip you see up there, it depends. It differs from camera to camera. Sometimes it's just a little pip, but here it's nothing. Anyway, we also have greetings from Germany. I enjoy your channel a lot. Thank you for continued quality content. We're doing great. But then down, and I'm reading this one in particular because it says Sony AV3400 fixed it. You have a working AV3400. That's exciting. I'd love to see the picture from that. Leave a comment on the video. I think you can do that. Oh, it won't let you leave links though. We'll figure it out, hopefully. Thank you for the facts. And then somebody sent me a screenshot from the video game Control in color. It's Pt5 inspired orange and yellows. I really enjoy this because it's the, I'm sorry, what is it? It's Garfield from Akewood. You want a pair of strip eyes? And they look like they're looking left. But when I wear them in the strip, it looks like I'm looking right. Thanks for the facts. This is my favorite. I don't know what's going on here. Can we get in here? There we go. I don't know what's going on exactly.
Steve Jobs.
Oh, there he is. Not Steve Jobs, Bill Gates.
All right.
See Windows Desktop. Now I can see it. I had this upside down. I could not decipher. I felt like I was looking at Deep Dream. But I'm also, I think it's fascinating that somehow you managed to cause a mail merge failure with the Windows fax client. Not sure how that worked. Additionally, Benoit. There he is. 10 out of 10. No notes. And then somebody, Just T-Rex sent me just another fax cat for the fax something like that. But unfortunately, all we got were some ears. We got some ears. We take 2. Let's get in on those ears. There we go. And honestly, what more do you need? And the final one here was just, I really appreciate whenever somebody sends me a letter, an actual letter. It's really nice. Just wanted to send this fax to you to say I love your show. Sorry this isn't as flashy or nice as the others, but I really want to send you this. It was a pain to get this to you. You know, that's what matters. You know, flashy or nice. Like, yes, people sent me 2 of them, and we just got raucous about that. It was rollicking. But no, it's the human connection that's really valuable about this. I set this fax line. Since I set it up, I've received more letters, just people writing a letter, than literally my entire life. No one's ever written me a letter. I grew up after that. So this is the only way that I've really gotten letters, per se. And every one of them is kind of a reminder of the ways the world has changed. We'd go into that, but whatever. These videos help me get back into retro video and somehow into photography. I actually used to be a still photographer, and you know, pictures are pictures, right? It's all cool stuff, and I'm really glad to hear that. And they said, I'm taping the show. I assume you're onto an actual tape. Hope you're using EP, because EP, LP, we're running for a bit longer. But I joined a little late when the Nixie Tube counter used by phone companies came out. That was actually fairly early in the things. Don't worry about that. But anyway, gives me an excuse to bust out my VCR and PS3. There we go. So that's how you're watching the live stream on your PS3 and recording it onto the VCR, I presume. Casey, that's who it was. It was Casey. We got, you know what? We got a little drawing here. I don't know if that part's public, but we got a little drawing there. Thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful. That was fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and 2-shot, 3-shot. Let's go and introduce our guests. Plural. 2 of them.
2 of them.
So first, Eris. Handshake. We're on Carson.
The professional handshake.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going business casual here.
Absolutely.
As we see. You left for some time, and then you came back. The state.
Yes.
Yes, you were
yes,
gone.
I did. I went down to California.
And I just remembered that's the only question I had written down for you. No, I had others. It turns out I thought I only had one.
Oh.
I heard LA was awful.
Not a fan.
From everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
You ever heard the song LAX by Big D and the Kids Table?
Negative.
Okay, you should. It's a banger. Absolutely. Cannot recommend this enough. LAX, Big D and the Kids Table, I believe. One of my favorite like pop punk songs. Outstanding. Anyway, but yeah, just warm, I assume, ugly.
Warm, ugly, busy.
People suck.
It doesn't smell good.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Bad drivers.
Yeah, so I'm glad. I assume you're happy to be back and watching.
Absolutely.
Okay, well that sure is nice for you.
Thank you.
How do you think all the people trapped here against their will?
Well, I live on Bainbridge Island, which makes it a little bit.
There's one more rainy day in June. I'm going to kick everyone out of California so I can go down there and take the place over. Okay, we keep trying to take the pumps out of our back stoop that keep the house from flooding, and every single time that Daria says we should do that,
embrace it.
We think about it and we're like, no, and then it starts pouring. Anyway, however, you'd escaped for a little bit to a place that was worse, and then you came back, and but did you notice that all the food is worse? The food's not as good here. No, you disagree?
So Santa Barbara does have some really good food. That's where I was. I was right by Santa Barbara. Does have some really good food. This place does seafood a lot better.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that.
So I mean, I don't think it's fair to compare them.
Okay, I have hardly had a good pizza since I moved here, and the first place in the 10 years I've been in Seattle, I have not had a single good taco until this place on 4th Avenue called Aliberto's opened up.
Oh.
We should go.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
You know how up here you can't get any fried tacos? It's all those street tacos that have like the steamed corn tortilla and the cilantro and then the dry ass miserable flavorless steak.
Yeah.
You can get a normal California taco at this place. It is wild. I have no idea where they came from.
Impressive.
Anyway, yeah. So you brought a robot with you today, which I know because I actually what I have written here is I helped you move its huge dump truck ass all the way across the sound. But then it says, for the sake of the performance, answer the question as if we have limited omniscience. But the thing is, you told me that this thing was just hulking, that it was like 300 pounds without the batteries.
No.
But then it turned out that honestly...
Oh my lord, with the batteries.
Honestly, it's not that heavy. Like I got caught on my mic cable. Otherwise
I
would have just
bad knees.
it.
I got knee surgery because of the Navy. All right. So
I understand that, but you know that.
I'm sorry, I'm not a big strong man like yourself.
Okay, well, fair. I absolutely just wound my mic cable around my chair, so we're gonna have a fun break later. Anyway, but we have a robot.
It's a robot,
and we're gonna take this a bit to pieces. But the question probably on some people's minds is, what? What is it? Why?
So
This
is the InTouch Health, which is now owned by Teladoc, RP7i remote presence telehealth robot. It is used by doctors to wheel around hospitals and check in on patients, and it can print prescriptions.
Let's spin this bad boy around and get a look at the amenities.
There's actually a cat fax covering up some parts of it.
One of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a screen up here They can turn 180 degrees, and it's got a motor. If you can't hear that, there's a motor in there. And it's got cameras, and it has a microphone.
It's got multiple microphones because it's got
right?
the freakish human-like ears.
We'll get into that
okay.
once I can stand
right.
up. I'm trapped in my chair right now, but this can turn up and down. They call this the virtually there camera system.
Yep.
And then it's got a telephone, it's got headphones, it's got a remote stethoscope. It has a receipt printer basically here. You've got the e-stop right there, which is going to be really hard. You know, they should not have recessed that, and everyone knows it. You don't recess
Make it as hard as possible.
Yeah. It won't stop. I can't stop it. Yeah. Good work. Good work. With that. I hope they improved on that in later revisions, because this is still a current product. This one's just very old.
Well, so they make the RP Vita now and some other things, but this is a 2007 model.
Yeah. So anything that we say about this does not represent their current product by far.
They made this 4 years after the company was founded.
Was this their first product?
I don't think so. Okay. So this is the updated version anyways, is the RP7i, but it's, I think, the first telepresence robot that's steerable that they put out. I'm not an expert. So.
That's fair. Yeah. None of this should be taken as advertising for the thing. We just have it because you just got it. You just came into it.
Yep. Yeah. So it was headed to the dump, and I managed to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's not to say you grabbed it off the dock or something. Like
no.
I think you told me
I didn't pick it up and run with it because it's too heavy.
You're like, you're just getting rid of that.
Yep.
Yeah. So this was licitly obtained, but just I mean, it's old enough, crusty enough. So generally, if we get in here a little bit, I'm just going to go over a couple, because I've looked into this thing a little bit. I don't know everything about it, but so we've got some Wi-Fi antennas up here. There's Wi-Fi antennas on either side of the head, but what's creepy is, let's get really tight in right here. So it has what appears to be binaural microphones that are actually molded into little ears, and I do think that's super creepy. And like
it is
anthropomorphic in a really unpleasant way. But I wonder actually if that's literally because they wanted binaural audio. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
It is. They wanted stereo.
But not just stereo. You know the difference between stereo and binaural?
Yes, yeah. They actually did want binaural, from what I understand.
Basically, if you're a doctor who is having a conversation with a patient and you're wearing a pair of cans and listening to them, if these are calibrated correctly and if they've got the right, if they're positioned correctly and whatnot to match your head, you're going to hear the audio with perfect spatial positioning. And this was actually a big kick in the 70s. There was a huge binaural audio craze where you could get vinyl LPs with binaural compositions. Basically, ASMR. It was ASMR for the 70s.
Yes, it was.
A genuine thing. So this is probably not just weird, but actually practical. The shape of this may actually be meant to replicate the human ear configuration. Anyway, so then we have a wide-angle camera, and is it a zoomable?
It is a zoomable. Yep.
Okay, so it's got a wide-angle camera and then a zoomable one. Two of them, so that you can get in real close and look at something, which is interesting because although this is all, I looked into this a little bit. This is all like NTSC standard definition, but it would actually mean that as the doctor, if you were clever, you could actually get a better picture of something or someone than you could being there in person. Because you can't exactly walk in there like, excuse me, if you don't mind, let me just get a look at that. But with this guy, you can sort of unobtrusively do that. Now, what I love about this thing, there's several things actually. I didn't bring the manual. I forgot the manual.
Good job.
Yeah, but the manual's not that exciting. So in the manual, it illustrates that the actual instrument used to control this, okay? The doctor at home has a PC. They've got the software installed on it. He's got the software installed on it, and you've just got a window that's got a picture of what the thing can see, and you've got a webcam, right? So it's a moving Discord call. But obviously you have to steer the robot. So this thing can move, and we're gonna talk about how it does that. I don't fully understand it, but there's some really neat things going on with the locomotion. But the doctor has to be able to steer it. So what do they use? A Thrustmaster. It's just a plain old Thrustmaster gamer joystick from 2007, which is fair because they're comfortable, they're well made, they've got 5 axes of input, right? So you've got the whole 9 yards, actually 5 yards, I guess. 4 even? Maybe that was only 4 axes. Anyway, so that allows you to steer forward, back, turn, and then turn in place. So this thing can actually spin, and I'll show you that the locomotion supports this. It can actually spin in place, which is wild.
And it can strafe.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. You can just. Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's got like a full 6 degrees of freedom motion system. Pardon me. And I do want to actually. People are probably asking, and I've been missing some of it, but it doesn't work. It could work, but it doesn't work right now. For want of batteries, I'll be perfectly honest. If I'd been willing to, if I had known that this many people would be watching. To be perfectly honest, had I known that I would have more than 20 people watching, I may have invested the money, but it was $500 to get the batteries I needed, which is not an unreasonable business expense. But the truth of the matter is, even if we got it running, it's tied to a whole server, a licensing system, a cloud service, and whatnot, and we would not have been able to get it fully functioning.
We do not want this reporting in.
That too, and certainly the best we could have done is just press the buttons to get the thing to trundle forward, and that's just not all that exciting. So $500 just to see it go. Well, watch.
Whoa, look at it go.
Yeah, wow. It's no different because you'd still have to put your hand on the back in order to control it. So you would have I could just make a really convincing motor noise and you'd have no idea this thing wasn't working.
It's more higher pitched than that. It goes
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yes,
all right,
there you go.
Anyway, so the doctor can talk to the speaker here. You got your volume control there. You got several different mic systems. This is, I think, maybe a more directional one.
Yep, yeah, that's a shotgun mic.
And then we're presuming at this point, we seem to have an infrared, I'm guessing, reflector system for safety.
Yep, yeah, so these are the collision avoidance sensors here and here.
So, of course, obviously, those are all around there. Then there's a skirt down at the bottom. If you bump that...
it e-stops, basically.
It e-stops, yep. And then, in addition to the 2 cameras, you've also got an auxiliary video input here, which, as far as I can tell, I'm guessing, I didn't actually get to this part in the manual, but I'm guessing the idea there is if you've got like an EKG or an ultrasound or something like that, you can feed a technician who's helping the doctor out on site can feed something in there so he can see a decent picture of what's going on. And then the basket here, which I broke.
Yes, you did.
I broke the robot. I actually broke the robot.
Yeah, I tried to tape it back up, but that didn't last.
But basically, now I don't want to start dunking on this company, but the fact of the matter is, I've worked at companies that are making things for the first time, and this has that sort of energy of not having worked out all the kinks and not necessarily having the sort of custom parts for everything that you need. It happens when your company is relatively new, and this sort of has that problem. But another aspect, and I wanted to mention this, so I snapped the head off a screw. I was putting the panels back on, I snapped the head off a screw. But the thing is, if you look at these screws real close, they're not like black, and they're not zinc coated, they're not matte finish, they're shiny, and that's because they're stainless. They're stainless steel because it's a hospital. It's got to be stainless, right? Now the rest of this isn't so much, so that's interesting. But it is painted, right? But there's a lot of liquids going on. Everything's getting wiped down, so you need stainless steel hardware. You know what the problem is with stainless steel?
Fragile.
It's like cheese. It's like cheese. I used to build hardware for a company that was using all stainless steel fasteners. When it bottomed out, you had maybe 1/8 of a turn, snap the head right off. And we were not using crap. We were doing our best. It's just our best wasn't good enough. It sucked. The quality of, not the quality of the fasteners. You just can't get that much torque into stainless. So yeah, I snapped one of them off. So now we can't put the basket back on. That's a bummer. But instead of putting it back together, we're going to take it further apart.
Take it apart.
So basically, this is going to be a mess. I know a little bit about how this thing works, but honestly, I don't care that much. Having it running would not be all that impressive. It does what I just said. It rolls forward, back, and it puts a picture on the screen. Who cares? What's interesting is how it's built. I have a lot of opinions about that, and I'd like to share them with you. We're going to spend the next half hour doing that. I do have one more thing to do before we start that, though, because we're going to have to go to break for a moment to set up. But I do just want to show, I was saying that this has the hallmarks of not being able to get custom parts. Well, can we just get real tight in here? Real tight in here on this microphone? So this is the secondary microphone, and let's just.
I think that says Sennheiser on it.
It does sort of seem like maybe it says Sennheiser on the side of it, and maybe has the countenance of being probably just an XLR stage mic that they bought off the shelf at Guitar Center, and that's just the replaceable capsule, much like the screw-off replaceable capsule on on my lapel mic right here. If I can get this on, so it doesn't fall off and clonk me on the head. And then actually, let's go ahead and spin this guy off here. Now this is less remarkable, honestly. This is pretty common. If we get real close in here, right in there, okay, that is like a Sony Cube camera. That's pretty common for integration purposes. Probably has an integrated zoom, you know, whatnot. You just get like a little ribbon cable off it, give it 12 volts, get composite, that sort of thing. Probably has like remote controls for Iris and whatnot. So, but it's still, you know, it's just sort of jelly bean parts. It's made out of stuff they got from McMaster Car. Is essentially the situation. So, anyway, we're going to break for a moment to adjust the camera because almost everything that's interesting about this is down here. So we need to adjust a little bit so we can get down lower to work on it. So we're just going to go to break for a couple minutes and we'll be right back. So yeah, we had to get up here so we could actually take this thing apart effectively. So, all right, we're gonna start with let's take the skirt off, right?
Skirt's already off. You took it off.
I put it back on. No, this guy here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we want to take a look at the locomotion.
Yes.
You know what? Actually, before we even do that, let's
tilt it.
Can we tilt it?
Does this make noise too when we do this? Does it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
all right. That made noise. Oh
Here,
no, does it flip it around? Flip it around? There we go. We got it. All right.
Okay.
Okay, now nobody was expecting this.
No.
Let's come down a little bit so they can see the whole situation.
Even though we've done this already.
So, all right, so here's what's up. So this thing uses what they call a holonomic drive system, but that's a generic term that simply means that it can move in all directions. It can go anywhere that it needs to. Now there's a lot of ways to do that. Someone mentioned universal wheels of some kind earlier. I forget the name. There's a type of wheel that uses a bunch of nested rollers, and it allows it to move, to roll forward or to be slid sideways with very little friction. This isn't that. As far as I can tell, this is homegrown. I don't know. This looks like something came out of a college project.
They look like candlepin bowling balls.
That's the thing, is anybody here from the East Coast is looking at these and going like, they're having a flashback.
Yeah, it really does look like candlepin bowling balls.
So these are orbs, and the orbs rotate. And there's motors inside, although fewer than you'd think, and that's a really interesting subject, that drive these. But the thing is, they can also slip. So the motor drives in yeah, go down, let's come down, there we go. So we have 3 of these, and
3 of them.
3 of them. And that's not really enough to do what they're doing. So there's some interesting trigonometry going on that I haven't looked this up at all. I'm just guessing here, okay? But basically this guy is driven by a motor, and we'll get inside so you can see it, but I believe it's only driven in this direction and nothing else.
Yeah,
in fact,
each one I think only goes in one direction.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, I could see the gears. We'll show you in a couple minutes, but I can see the gears, and in this direction they don't move at all. So this can only turn the robot left and right. And then these guys here, let's see. Okay, yeah, these ones actually go at sort of a diagonal. You'd think that they would just go forward and back, but I believe they actually just move at a diagonal because the motor is mounted at a diagonal.
And that allows it to move in a circle.
Right, so that allows it to move in a circle, but the interesting question is, how does it go forward?
Multiple at once.
Exactly, but there must be so much friction in the system. Like, there must be so much slip. I don't know. Is that as far out as we can zoom? Oh, there we go. There we go. Come up just a little bit. There we go. I didn't realize we were out of the picture. That was really funny. We were doing like a sort of that was like a Bill Nye thing, where it was just like all you see is from here down, and they're discussing something, and you just see the thing. Anyway, now one thing you may or may not have noticed is that this thing is built like a shit brick house, but weirdly so. It's kind of weird actually, because it doesn't really sound as well built as it is. I say well built, but overbuilt or something is more accurate. So this guy here, this base plate, is a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch of aluminum. This is a 1/2 inch of aluminum. It's got another plate of aluminum on top of it. We got some TIG welds here, a ton of fasteners and whatnot. It's all machined. Everything's machined. So much machining going on here, and I think unnecessarily. I think this honestly could have been built out of like angle, like just stock materials. And that's why it makes me think, because I've looked around this thing quite a bit, and it seems like everything here is either stuff you can get out of a McMaster Car catalog, or it's machined. And a thing that people don't, I think that people don't quite realize is it's harder to make mass-produced parts, considerably harder than it is to make machined parts, but there are advantages to doing it that way. So like stamped steel, stamped sheet metal has a lot of advantages as far as manufacturing. You can make thinner, stronger things in a lot of cases. With machining, you often, and I don't, this is not at all a blanket statement, okay, I'm just saying that the way that a lot of people would approach machining a component is going to produce something that basically does the job through sheer brute force. And that's what they've done here. This plate is much thicker than it needs to be. But it's aluminum, so the thing isn't all that heavy. So at least there's that.
I think part of it was they were also expecting this to be used in multiple places, like because they have some of these deployed in Africa. They were planning to use these for military, etc. So I think that's part of why they really overbuilt it.
Okay, yeah, I suppose that would make sense. And then when we get inside, I'll get to show you a little more about how overbuilt it really is. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy back up. Ugh.
All right.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that went a lot. That went a lot smoother.
You want to pull out the back first, or are you going to take the skirt off first?
Let's do the skirt. Let's do the skirt. Because
Okay.
I want to talk about the mechanics. So let's go ahead and. Is there a Phillips head over there?
Yes.
There we go.
I got it.
Oh, you do it. Take some out.
Oh, well,
Take some screws
fine.
out. You're on that side. Whoops. Whoa. Yeah. I'm stripping it really fast.
Remember, everyone that you break, you fix.
Yeah, well, I got work ahead of me now.
Well, thankfully, you've got lots of free time. It's not like you're producing a show or
I wasn't
anything.
doing anything. I gotta get my hand on here. Get some reverse pressure. Oh crap.
Oh, you breaking another one?
Yeah,
Good
actually.
job.
This is gonna be hard. I need that screwdriver when you're done. What?
Is that the wrong bit?
No, it's not, but this one just rounded out as soon as I hit it.
There, let me just.
Oh my, oh, you're kidding.
Oh, did you really bork it?
It's like cold welded. We may not be able to do this.
Oh, come on.
No, you try. It's in there. Look, the head's just turning to butter.
Like this?
Yeah.
This one right here?
Yeah, try and get that out. Do we still have drill bits here?
We might need a wider.
We gotta go to break for just a second.
No, just keep it. Just kill for time.
Oh no, okay, well, basically I'm gonna have to drill these screws out because I just hosed them right here live on stream. Folks, welcome to the Cathode Ray Dude 100,000 subscribers disaster.
That's borked.
It's gone. It's gone. I'm gonna get, if we've got a half-inch drill bit, I'm just gonna drill the head right off.
Yeah, that's
We're gonna have a bunch
probably
of
your best
aluminum dust on the ground here. This is gonna rock.
Well, might as well try and get out. Let's see, there's this one left here.
We got everything else out, so it's going to be one of those cases where we got one pesky fastener that's going to completely hose the job. Oh man, this rocks. Do you see how quickly I damaged your robot?
Yeah.
Hey, now you can't get mad at me anymore because you saw how easily that broke.
Do you want me to take off the back too?
Yeah, go ahead and pull that. If we can get in there, that is what we need. I'll use this one. That's a masonry bit. What the hell is that doing here? That's not your fault. All right. There we go. Can you mute my mic? Mute all the mics. My God.
Oh no.
It's not working so well. I got most of the way through. Do we have another drill bit? Any others?
Okay, hold on. Kill for time.
Okay.
Your mics are on.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, so I think I brassed off this drill bit so bad. It won't cut. Oh, yeah, that's rounded right over. So that drill bit's gone. All right, let's go for another one.
Wow, this is going to be worth it, right?
Absolutely, totally. Yeah, this will be worth it. What did you think we were going to do for 45 minutes?
Whew.
I don't know why you
Apparently
came here.
destroy this poor boy.
He'll be all right. Actually, he's not all right already.
He's a rock.
It's really amazing how you loaned this to me, and the amount of damage I did was really just unparalleled.
Oh yeah, you've already just like, you broke the
Unspeakable.
basket.
Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah, that's what we need.
Outstanding.
Oh no, my poor boy.
Probably use this step drill here, or maybe, actually, these are, now that I look at it, these are sort of the worst ones we could possibly have for this job, but let's see if the step drill can get at it. All right.
Oh, don't look, honey. Don't look.
Oh, wait, am I on 2? No, I was on 2. I'm wondering if I work hardened the metal. I may have.
No.
Yeah, this is a nightmare situation. Need like a tungsten carbide bit to get through there.
Okay.
I think we're screwed. I actually think we're screwed.
Can I take a look?
What?
It's just gone. Wait. There we go. Hang on.
Oh man.
All right, we did it.
My poor boy.
Oh, that is hose. You got any pliers? Give me those wire cutters. There's a pair of wire cutters over there.
No, they're not.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. All right, we got in. We got in. There it is.
No.
Nah, he's fine. He's not. Anyway, there's aluminum dust all over the floor.
How many drill bits did you go through?
4. Yeah, I destroyed. that titanium nitride coated one. This horrible beast.
That's what you get for hurting my boy.
That's actually what I get for buying bad drill bits. This one here, he seems fine. He's probably fine. And then, shockingly, I think that might be a pocket drill or a pocket screw jig drill. I don't even know what this is doing here. Why would this be here? But at any rate, the weird thing is it actually did a number on it. Shooting through that stainless like nobody's business. I was worried I'd like work hardened it or something. All right, let's just go ahead and get this metal out of there. Oh,
We got F's in the chat for the bot.
Oh no.
yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah, pour one out, everyone. He's fine. It's just a fastener. I got a metal splinter. Okay, we'll have to deal with that.
Everyone's getting hurt today.
We can get in there. Get in there. Let's get a focus.
Don't know if it's gonna focus.
Come on.
Put your hand behind it.
There we go. Get in there. Way in there. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. The remnants. Okay. Let's put that down. Let me pull this metal splinter out of my finger.
Oh, yeah, use that. That's a good idea.
Oh, correct. Sorry, just a moment.
100K, the self.
It didn't work, so we're gonna have to do something about that shortly. Okay, anyway, let's just get down here. I'm just gonna get down here, right in there, face right in the aluminum dust, and let's look at how this thing goes. So, I hope my mic is still satisfactory.
Might want to
So
pull it in.
there's a few things going on here. So first off, we rotate this guy. You want to spin him around this way? Okay, you can see that's the incredibly sturdy base plate there. I don't know if you can see now. Zoom in there, get way in there, right over here, right over, yeah, so you can see the thickness of that plate is kind of astonishing. It's also got some sort of treatment on it, or no, that's overspray from the paint job actually.
Yep.
I'm just realizing this. So this wasn't powder coated, this was painted by hand. Somebody sprayed this. All the mounts for the skirt are broken, just about. But my favorite part about this thing is the way the wheels work. So if we rotate this back a little bit, let's get a good. So this here is the housing for the wheel mechanism. So there's an orb inside of there. I haven't had it apart, unfortunately. But there's an orb inside of there, and then there's essentially a hobby motor up here. I don't know what the rating on it is. I'm guessing it, a couple amps, something like that, because it's definitely going to be. It does have quite a gear reduction. We got this little spur gear here, And then this is interesting, and I'm not sure what to think of it. I think this is phenolic. This looks like a phenolic gear, like basically what they make circuit boards out of. And in fact, it almost looks like just a stack up of like FR4 phenolic type material, and I don't know why they would do that. These are clearly pretty much all manual machined, or I don't know, CNC'd, I don't know, but basically these are not off-the-shelf parts. These are all made in a machine shop.
How pliable is the phenolic?
How pliable?
Yes, as in, could it be a breakaway thing to make sure it doesn't like smash itself against the wall?
That would make a
times?
lot of sense now that you mention that. Like, there seems to be a lot of slip inside the drive mechanism, but all the same, that could be, I don't know, that could be some sort of safety fuse. That's an interesting idea. Anyway, so this guy here drives a pretty decent reduction there. Then there's another one back there that drives a pair of gears back. I don't remember my mechanical engineering terminology at all. I didn't go to school. But anyway, it drives a pair of gears here, and we can only speculate, but I'm guessing that they basically have a roller, a shaft. In fact, I can see the shaft coming out the back here. I can't, let's rotate this around. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So this guy goes straight through here, and you can see there's the shaft sticking out the back side of it there. So presumably what they have is just a pair of drums, and the ball just rides on the drums, which is interesting because now that I think about it, that means when it's turning in the opposite direction, it's only a point contact patch. So this is sort of like the, it's sort of like what's going on inside of a ball mouse. That point contact contact doesn't have very much friction to it. There's very little actual contact. So when the ball is rotating in a direction opposite to the axes of the drum turns in, it's essentially just rotating against it like this on a point. So it's not really dragging per se, which is probably why this thing is able to have so much slip without, presumably you would think that would require some sort of like clutch, basically, that would be a wear part, but these don't look very maintainable to me. It looks like it'd be a real pain to get them out and replace that part if so. And honestly, it just doesn't feel like there's much friction in there. You should not do that. Those are metal splinters. What is wrong with you? Why would you do that on live
glitter.
television?
It's glitter.
It is not glitter. It is glitter. It's just glitter that'll hurt you. Anyway, so I just did it too. The drive mechanism on this is like shockingly simple in the sense that, yeah, we just have this motor that drives these two dinguses, and that rolls the orb, and that's pretty much it. So there's some math going on somewhere to figure out how to make this thing go in the directions you need to. Because I don't quite get it. Again, let me get up here. If we pull this back around, notice that this motor back here, this gear set, can you get in here? At this angle? There we go. There we go. This one here, notice this is not, it's not orthogonal to the, it's not perpendicular to the other one. These are at angles. So somehow, and I don't know how this works, but somehow this thing is able to get forward and back out of this. So does it just drive them both, and they're rolling this way, and because they're fighting each other on the horizontal axis, the only thing you get out of the equation is the forward? That sucks. That doesn't seem good. I don't know how else you should do it.
There's got to be a reason behind it, though.
No.
Okay, good point.
It's actually possible for people to make mistakes, as it turns out. Anyway, so that's the drive system, and then this is the battery bay. You had a couple of 60 amp hour gel cells that's sitting there. That's the skirt. You just got some like opto sensors down there. And then this is a fun thing. Let's spin this guy around here. Beep. So this is sort of the trailer hitch kind of interface for it.
And this is only on the upgraded version, the RP7i.
Oh, interesting. The other ones had to be plugged in?
Correct.
Okay, so this one, it can be plugged in. It's got a cord here. There you go. So you can charge the battery by just plugging it into a wall with 110 volts, or you can back it into a dock. So let's get down here. I'll show you how this works. So this thing wobbles back and forth, and then you press on it, and look at that. It just, sticks these big fat bus bars right out of it. Those are bigger than they really need to be. In fact, now I look at, okay, it's a pair of grounds, and then line, and I think neutral on the bottom. And so this thing wobbles so you don't have to get it precisely lined up. And what you're actually supposed to do is the doctor is actually supposed to park this thing by turning the camera around, tilting it down so they can see the dock, and then running it backwards, clunk, until it plugs in. But if you don't plug it in and you let it sit around until the battery winds down,
it starts saying, please plug me in.
So you just walk by one of these things and it's softly going, please plug me in. Imagine a room full of these things. Please plug me in.
Please plug me in. Working for their QA department must be torture.
Right? Because
Yeah.
you can just imagine.
Please plug me in.
It's awful. Anyway, I'm sorry. This splinter is still bugging me, and it's really. Sorry for doing that on stream. It was killing me. Anyway, I think under here we don't have much going on other than an ATX power supply. Let's just get in there. And look at the
4-pin Molex.
4-pin Molex ATX power supply just hanging out down there. Data's secret off switch is located right under there. And the reason that I can't make this thing go is because although it probably doesn't pull that much power for the drive mechanism, there is a computer in here, and I think that pulls quite a bit of juice. Because honestly, computers, and we'll get into this, but it's like a PC. And PC motherboards pull a tremendous amount of wattage. And the trouble is that what it takes to feed 110 volts to one is pretty easy. You can run it, I mean, this is why we use high voltage for the electrical system. If you want to run a couple amps of 110 volts to something, you use this little, like a lamp cord, right? 18 gauge wire, just one pair of really thin wires, can push a surprising amount of wattage to something. But at 12 volts, that becomes a much bigger cable and a much stiffer power supply is required. So this thing is not designed to run off of a 12 volt feed. Especially because that doesn't make any sense. You can't trail a pair of basically 300-foot long jumper cables around the hospital. So you're supposed to park this, charge up the batteries, and then they're able to supply the high current. And unfortunately, I have not found a way to bypass them yet. The wiring down there is all done by hand. It looks like you're looking under the hood of a military Jeep. It's just like it looks bodged.
Now,
the whole thing looks bodged.
It's possible that it looked nicer out of the factory, but these things got from what I understand, lots of field repair done to them. They got the batteries replaced every so often. These things would get caught up in things and have to have their wires redone. So It's possible that it did look a lot nicer out of the factory. So
this one's not in the best shape. Now, for what it's worth, all this cowling seems like it might contain secrets. Sorta. I mean, there's not that much. I took this panel off earlier, which is how I broke the screw for it. It's got a just a battery charger, like a Harbor Freight battery charger in there. That literally just has this cable permanently attached to it, and that goes down and charges the batteries. And then we've got like a junction box in there, and then this is just the wiring for this thing. And then around the front, there's this access panel that just again covers up a bunch of wires. So it's really nothing all that remarkable. There is some more interesting stuff going on in the computer. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Here, I'll hold them steady.
Okay. And I do love how it just sort of, it's just this module. It pulls out like that.
Wait, stop.
Yep, I know. We can't get it out the rest of the way because of this ground wire, but that's okay. We don't need to, so.
So this, I believe, this is just a normal rack mount server chassis.
No, it's not. I don't think. No, that's not 19 inches.
No.
No,
okay.
It's not. 19 inches would be about that wide.
Okay.
So anyway, let's take that ground screw off. If you want to grab the screwdriver there, let's just lose that ground screw. It takes a hex head. But
You have that?
I do, but I'm just not going to bother with it. We don't really need to get it out any further. What I will point out though, let's get in here, is there's just an absolute snarled, go back that way, and there we go. You want to hit your light and see if we can, it's right there, there you go. Yeah, so there's just a snarled mass of cables back there, but if we come around this way, you can see that, get back in there, get on these connectors right here. It's hard to make out, but that is the back of just like a sound card going on there. So we're gonna get a better angle on that. Let's adjust our camera. Let's go to break for just a moment and we'll adjust our camera. All right, we're back. So please plug me in. Please plug me in. Please plug me in. Please plug me in. Oh, it's horrifying. Okay, so the camera's a little higher now. Okay, you can see if you want to get in here again, it'll be a little easier. I pulled this a little further out. It'll be a little easier to see. Come down to here. There we go. There's just a bunch of cables plugged in there. And that's just like a PCI backplane. And then we'll lift this thing in a moment. But I wanted to show you is these cards. I love these. They're so unnecessary. Let's there we go. That's a good angle. So let's get in. Let's get these good and framed here. So I had to sort of just stare at this and try and figure out what these might be, because we got these two great big PCBs here, just gobs of wasted space. You see all this like ground plane stippling here that you see on boards that are just like unnecessarily large.
And he was doing this on the floor of my living room, by the way, taking this thing apart.
So I can only guess at what all this does, but I think I have a pretty good idea. So this thing, let's come out for a second while I talk. So this machine has a bunch of sensors. People use the word sensor a lot. It's, oh, your light's still on. People use the word sensor a lot. We don't have sensors. Sensors are a fake idea in the Star Trek sense. The idea of something that like works like our eyes, no, we don't have that. We have devices that can emit a one-dimensional information in almost all cases that's very limited, very easy to fool, and good enough to sort of kind of maybe assemble a picture of things. And it requires a lot of connectivity and a lot of interface I/O capacity in order to get all those in the machine, which is why we see all these wires. Took me a bit to figure out what these most likely are. So probably, and this is fun, I'm not an EE, right? But as I used to do more on my channel, the experience of just sort of doing the light reverse engineering, of looking at something and going, I don't know what that does, it's not labeled, what could it do? And just sort of using deduction, basically, to work your way to what it probably does. These are analog and digital interface boards for the sensors, I'm pretty sure. See, we've got these infrared sensors all around this thing, and those are most likely something like a infrared time-of-flight reflectometer, which is a fancy way of saying like an LED and an infrared sensor that pulses, and then it waits for the sensor to feel a pulse come back, and then it calculates the differential and goes, okay, I must be about 3 feet away from an obstacle. And those, it's either that, or it could just be an LED and a photosensor, and it measures basically how much brightness it sees, and as it gets closer to an obstacle, it's going to see that brightness go up. I'm just assuming here. I have no idea if that's accurate, but it would make sense because we do have a ton of inputs coming into this board here, and then these 3 chips here are made by, well, this could be the analog board because they are called analog devices. It's literally the name that's written on them. And analog devices makes a lot of digital to analog converters and whatnot. But that's not what these are. These 3 chips are analog multiplexers. Essentially, they're like KVM switches. You put an analog signal into it, and when you send it a logic signal, it can click between the inputs. So it's, who knows, I don't know, I don't forget, I don't remember, it's 8 or 10 or 12 inputs or whatever to a single output. And then back here, this chip, this little tiny thing here, is also an analog devices, but that's an analog to digital converter. It's like a 12-bit, something like that, right there. That's an analog digital converter. These are analog switches, and then over here, this looks suspiciously like the number of infrared sensors they have. So what do we have? This board here scans. It most likely just looks at every one of these infrared sensors X number of times per second, probably at least a couple hundred, hopefully. And every time it switches inputs, the computer reads the value coming off this analog digital converter, and it goes, okay, infrared sensor 1 is at this distance, infrared sensor 2 is at this distance, and it can assemble what it thinks is a picture of the outside world. This is no different than what's going on with LiDAR on self-driving cars and whatnot, and it's those aren't a whole lot better, but anyway. So that's probably what that does, and this guy here is an all-digital board, almost certainly, because these are bus transceivers, and there's not a whole lot else on there, and we have a fewer number of inputs coming in. So my guess is that this one is for the skirt switches, which are basically just sensors that determine whether, they're opto-isolators, I believe, that determine whether a sensor has been blocked, or they might be magnetic, I'm not sure.
I think they're just switches.
Well, no, they're not physical, they're not mechanical, they're not getting pushed on. But at any rate, I'm pretty sure that you're getting a digital signal off those, and so this is doing the same thing. It's just strobing through all those. If it sees one get closed, then it sends a signal to the computer. It says, hey, stop. So yeah, all this pomp and circumstance, that's all it does. And this whole thing could be this big, easy. There's no reason for it to be this big. It's just, I think, they had the space. Maybe it was easier, or maybe this was someone's first gig as a board designer. I'm not sure which. All right, so anyway, we lift this up. I mean, hey, look, junior engineers have to do something, right? Hey, if the person who designed this is watching this and I'm dunking on you, I'm very sorry. I can only speculate at your motivations. Let me figure out where that one goes so that I can lift this off. Bear with me a second. This thing is pretty finicky to get out of here. And give me a second. We should have taken it apart, but now this robot's hard to take apart. So here's this one I took apart earlier today. Let's see if we can. Okay, all right. So let's just go ahead and get over here. And if you want to look down in there, take a look down in there. Right past there. Okay, we can see that we've got just PCI Express cards. Here, let's roll closer. Let's roll closer and look further down. There we go. So there's just some PCI cards in here. This is a funky sound card. It's got some weird stuff going on with it that I think might have its own amplifier. Let's see if we can. Gosh, it's hard to get an angle on this. Whatever. We'll do the phone. Let's do the phone.
Wait, what?
I'll do the phone. I'm sorry. It's really hard to get in there. All right, we're gonna get the phone feed here.
Okay, hold on. Lights are gonna go down for just a second.
All right, just a second, folks. I'm sorry. All right, I think we've got everything now. Okay, so this is what's remarkable about this. This is from 2007, and it has. Let's just get this plate lifted up here.
You want me to help?
Oh, it's really tough. So we've got this is like an Intel desktop board. We've got a Cooler Master heatsink going on here. I think from the pattern, I think that might be an Intel CPU. We don't know why there's no RAM in it. I think it came that way. My favorite thing about this, if we get in closer here, it's rusty. The heatsink is actually rusty, and that's probably the fault of the environment it was in. But anyway, if you want to gently massage that back over in that direction, catches on everything. There we go. That's a much better picture. Yeah. So clearly we've got all these ribbon cables, all sorts of stuff going on here. But what it's doing is not actually that impressive. Because it's all in software, right? So this guy here is basically a multi-channel sound card. We've got a whole bunch of cables coming out here. One of them is Radio Shack. One of them was made by hand. And then this guy here has a bunch of parts on it, but it's not. I mean, multi-input sound cards don't need to be this complex, so I'm not super sure what's going on there. And my guess is there's probably amplifiers on here. Is what I'm thinking, because this probably drives the external speaker directly. Maybe that's what's going on. This guy here, the Piccolo Pro 2, is a 4-input video capture card. If we look on the back here, we've got 4 BNCs going in here, and that's going to be for the 2 cameras, and then the auxiliary video input, and then I'm not sure what the other one does. That's an interesting question. Then there's what looks like serial cards, but I don't really know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a quad serial card. I haven't looked into that, and I don't. Oh, well, of course. What am I thinking? That would be for probably maybe this guy here and the serial printer or the receipt printer, and I don't know what else. And then this card here from the expanse of plain green PCB feels very much like a homebrew, like a IO, basically a IO card. Just sort of slurps up a bunch of various pins of input. There's some sort of Texas Instruments DSP hanging out on there. That's probably doing the signal processing for all the analog inputs. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's a fairly ordinary PC. It just has a funky input card that's used for scanning all this stuff. And otherwise, this is basically just a PC that can come to visit you at your bedside. How unfortunate is that? Let's go back to the other camera.
Hold on.
Yep.
Oh, hold on.
It's okay.
There we go.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and recombobulate this later. It's in a sad state now. Let's go ahead and roll him backwards. So, yeah, a VGA monitor, some ordinary NTSC cameras, some microphones, some speakers, a weird sound card. But otherwise, this is basically just a computer that can roll around in a hospital and come tell you that you're dying. which is an actual thing that happened, I think, a couple of years ago. It was very
Don't know if
impressive.
it was one of
no,
these
I don't know if it was one
or-
of these, but still, the potential for this to be alienating, and I've seen their marketing, and their perspective on it is that it basically allows a greater reach of expertise. You can have a specialist come and consult on something that, yes, it would be great if they were there, but they aren't there, right? Well,
Good for rural communities and things like that.
absolutely, yeah. Places where you can't reasonably get a bunch of specialists to come together and take up residency there. And so the quality of care just naturally is not going to be as good as it could be. Now, if you can get somebody to at least, with the assistance of somebody less educated, less skilled, just basically a normal doctor rather than a specialist, if they can, or nurse even, right, who are perfectly capable of doing all the things you need to basically replace the not being able to lay hands on things. Somebody who can take all the various diagnostics for you and then show them to you. Then you can fill in that extra, missing bit of expertise from afar. You just can't, you're just losing the ability to remotely manipulate things. So on those grounds, it's a brilliant idea, and I hope that it actually works that way. I have no idea. I hope that these really do get applied that way, and that mostly they bring a better quality of healthcare to people who, in any economy, any social system, would not normally be able to get it, just because everyone can't be everywhere.
So one of their biggest and original use cases was for stroke diagnosis.
I noticed that they have a huge focus on that in the manual.
Yes, they do.
There's a whole separate extra software package for it for stroke diagnostics.
EMTs are not allowed to just say, okay, give them clot busters or not.
Right.
They have to get a doctor's input on it.
And seconds count.
And seconds
the faster, So if there's no doctor on site, the faster you can get somebody to give you a consult who needs to be able to look at them, needs to be able to assess them, you're going to save lives.
Yep, they make video units that go inside of ambulances too, for the same reason.
Oh, wow. Okay, terrific. So on those grounds, I made a flippant joke because there was a really unfortunate incident a couple years ago where this was used inappropriately, where somebody used, I don't know if it was this company, but somebody used a telepresence robot to tell a woman she was dying. And it was completely inappropriate, and I'm sure somebody got fired over it, but the point is that the potential, the nightmare scenario you can imagine is no doctors anymore. They all stay home. There's just, nurses and technicians, and then it's hard enough to get a doctor in your room to begin with, right? To literally never be able to get one to see you face to face would be terrifying, but it's one of those cases where, it's really a matter of what we do with it, right? Because yeah, I think, like I said, in any economic system, you can't have everyone everywhere. And so, like most of the internet and computers and whatnot, the potential for good here is enormous. We just hope that that's the direction it's going. All right, well, we have quite a mess to clean up here, and I have to bring on my last guest. So, Eris, thank you so much for bringing him. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for breaking him.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could harm him. And I'm sure a lot of people in chat have noticed a lot of things I got wrong. Look, the journey was the point.
And you know what? Please plug me in.
Please plug me in.
Please plug me in.
Please plug me in. We'll be back in a couple minutes.